It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunscheen.
Hey, it's the Chief from the Dice Tower. We're going to talk about Tokaido. Now, Tokaido's been out for a while. I do have the Kickstarter Collector's Edition on order, and Kickstarters always come in a little bit late, so everybody just be patient, and you can go get this if you really want. Now, Tokaido's designed by Antoine Bauza, and it's a road, I forget, it's in Japan from Tokyo to somewhere I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But here's the deal. Its pacing, its flow is beautiful. So I don't even know how to describe it. You're moving down a track and you're collecting things and you feel like you're along for the journey. It doesn't feel like a victory point grab. It feels like an experience. Let me show you.
You've got the player boards. The player boards are your persona. They do two things. One, first of all, really neat. Whatever your color is just going to fit right into this little notch. It'd be easier. Okay, I fit it into him. Hello. Let's just say it's fit right into her. Satsuki's interesting. First of all, they've weighted this. There's a special ability they'll get to do. Hers is going to really help her get food for free when she goes to the inn. But they balance it with the fact that she's only going to begin with 2 coins. So they can add more coins. All right, this gentleman's going to start off with 9, and when he has an encounter, he's going to get to see 2 cards and then just pick the one that he wants. So maybe that's not as good as an ability as this one, but he starts out with more coins. So in the beginning of the game, you're going to be randomly given 2 of these personas. You get to look at them, pick the one that you want. So you don't just get to go through the whole list, but it really makes it fresh. It keeps things changing and games being a little bit different. And again, the layout's just gorgeous. All right, game in a nutshell. I've got the players here in order. The nicest thing about Tokaido, the player in last place is always going to move first. So this player could move off and take any spot along this road that they want. I'm going to just tick these off real quick. You've got a village where you can go buy souvenirs. Again, it's a set collecting game, so you're actually going to be trying to collect a diversity of little trinkets for your hand. I'll show you some of those in a little bit. You can stop at the temple. If you stop at the temple, you can donate 1, 2, or 3 coins under your player color. Not only do you get a victory point for each one of those coins, but at the end of the game, it's there's the person that puts the most gets 10, then 7, then 4, then 2. You can go have an encounter. You meet someone. They do something for you generally. They may give you money. They may put money in the temple for you. They may help you paint a painting. Paint a painting? What are you talking about? Well, this is a panorama. I'll show you some of those with a little quick shot later. But you can stop here and begin to paint. You're going to paint this exact picture, and it's going to be worth points for you. You can stop at a hot springs and draw a hot springs card. It'll be worth 2 or 3 victory points for you. You could stop here and paint a mountainscape. It's actually going to have 4 tiles to its panorama. You may be running low on money. You do need money to buy certain things, little trinkets, food. You stop and get your money. You can come again to a village, again to the temple, again to an encounter. And then there is the tile that's a 5 panorama seascape that you can paint. Each card is worth more and more victory points as you get closer and closer to finishing the painting. Again, you got a hot spring, and then you're in doing your food. Now, the food's key because when you get to the inn, everybody's going to rest for the night, but you want to eat a meal, and you want to have a diversified meal. You want to make sure you have enough money to buy food here because it's a guaranteed 6 victory points. The first person to get there is going to have the choice. There's always 1 extra card than the number of players. They'll be able to look through and pick what they want to eat because you can't eat the same thing along the road. You've got to always have something different to eat. So you want to make sure you got enough choices, and can you afford it? And then the other nice thing is as the other players come in, they've got less choices for food, but as we start the next day of travels, this person's going to jump off and go first. So to show you a little bit more of the souvenir cards when you stop in a village and you're trying to buy, what you're ultimately trying to set collect is 1 item or different item from each of the main categories. So you've got this little totem looking thing, which is like guitar, clothing item, food item, or in this case, a top or a little trinket from the fan item. And the more you diversify, so if you've got just 1 of these, you're going to score 1. If you've got 2 of the different types, 3. If you've got 3 of them, 5. And if you've got all 4 of the different types, it's worth 7 points for you. And you can have a whole nother one set. So maybe I've only got one other fan type. Well, that's another victory point. So you want to diversify and pick up a wide experience of trinkets or souvenirs along the way. And again, you want to be able to hopefully get the best deal or afford them along the way. So you've got to have money, buy souvenirs. When you get into the inn, so we've all gone down the road, we've stopped, we've done our thing along the way, you're going to draw one more food than the number of players playing. And the key is when you're the first one into the inn, one of these ends are going to be your pause points. You're going to get to, if we're playing a 3-person game, I'm going to get to look at all 4 of the cards and make a purchase. Now you can see, if I wanted to go in for an inexpensive purchase, I've got 2 choices. All of them are worth 6 points. But the deal is, along the road, you've got to diversify. You can never buy the same type of food twice. So if I've got the money, maybe I want to buy some donburi, but maybe I need to save my money and I pick up one of these other cards. And then the next person that comes in only gets to look at 3. And the last person in a 3-person game would have the choice of one of these 2. And hopefully they've got the money and they don't already have those in their food items that they've eaten along the road. 6 victory points is huge. And along the way, as you complete your panoramas, the first person to complete the seascape is going to get 3 victory points, the snow-capped mountain 3, and the grassy kind of rice paddies 3. So along the way, you are racing a little bit to complete these because you're going to pick up some bonus points. And then at the end of the game, you've got little bonuses that'll kick in. The person with the most diverse souvenirs, the most people encounters, the one that's spent the most money on food, had the most lavish meals, and the one that's hung out at the hot springs the most. That would be me. You're going to pick up 3 victory points. So there's these nice little gamey elements that just really tie in to the overall experience. Let me show you kind of turn order. So if I moved on to here, and I've gone and bought souvenirs, the next person in line can go. They don't have to stop at the temple. They don't have to stop at an encounter. They might want to go paint. Well, now it's yellow's turn to go. And yellow can decide to stop in. They cannot stop and double in where I'm at. Maybe they know they need money and they're afraid the money's going to go. They skip all of these things, foregoing all the points that are there, and they go get money. But now it's little Aqua Blue's turn again, and Aqua Blue is just taking their time, and they decide, you know what, I'm going to go to the temple, and I'm going to donate some money to the temple. And then, you know what, I want to have an encounter, and I'm going to draw encounter cards, and I'm going to see what I get there. And then I get to go again. Now, I can't go paint this painting, but I'm going to stop at the hot springs. After they've stopped at the hot springs, now purple's the last in order, and purple gets to decide. Now, they can only go paint this mountainscape, or they could skip and go get souvenirs, or they could stop at the temple, or they can go have an encounter. So whoever's in last place gets to move. And if there's a bunch of spaces in between you and second to last or third to last place, boom, you can take another action. If at some point in time you decide, you know what, I have no money, I want to make sure I have only 1 coin, I want to make sure I get food, you could skip, forego, and just get you food. Probably wouldn't be the wisest move in the world, but you could do it. And that's how each phase, when you come to this inn, you're going to get some food, you're going to rest for the night, and you're just enjoying your meal, and you want to diversify your meal. And then the next day, in whatever order you got there, so the last person that comes in to get the meal, although they got the worst choice at food selection, they'll be the first ones to start out on the Tokaido the next day. And it's about a 45, 60-minute game. Everything's very thematic. The coins look very, they're copies of old Japanese coins. And the theme and the zenness, and it just flows very, very nice. And it's just beautiful to look at. This is the closest it feels to a masterpiece. I mean, it almost, it's still a game, and it plays like a game, but it has this real nice zen feel. Enough said.
All right. Minimalism, love the look, the feel, the board, the fact that if you complete, you slowly work on paintings. And as you work on it more and more, you get more and more victory points. You're buying items along your journey just to help you remember your journey. You're stopping and praying to the gods or making your offering or whatever. It's just the pacing is elegant and beautiful. And this game it might have something to do with how the game was introduced to me. A couple came over, said, hey, you've asked about this. We're bringing it. And then they showed up and they did it was like a theme night. They brought sushi and sake. And when we were done playing Tokaido, we played Sushi Go, and we love doing things like that here. So my experience with it is just perfect. And it's light so that I can play with folks that wouldn't normally play games, or maybe a spouse doesn't play games, but we want to have a couple over to the house. But it's just an elegant, sweet game. And, I rave about it. I've played a lot of games, and when I first played this, it just felt unique. And it somehow manages to be competitive without feeling that way at all. So I don't know how best to explain it, but Tokaido, and give it a shot. I mean, just give it a play. If you want something brain burner, no. This is going to be a sit back and experience game. See you guys. Chief.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.